Hi, everyone. Welcome to tonight's District 5 United meeting. District 5 United strives to improve the quality of life in East San Jose and the entire city as a whole as necessary. We're here tonight because community members wanted more information about the Emma Prusch topic that surfaced recently with Jennifer and Bob. Emma Prusch Park Foundation, along with Andrea Flores Shelton from the City of San Jose Parks, Recreation, and Neighborhood Services. So Bob, go ahead and take it away if you're the lead on this.
Well, the one thing that I kind of wanted to do tonight, if possible, is give you a brief history of Emma Prusch Park and the foundation. Is that acceptable?
Yes, that would be appreciated.
Okay. I'd like to say that the grant deed that was signed by Emma and given to the city of San Jose was accepted on December 14th, and it was accepted by the park vice mayor, who was Norman Mineta at the time. In 1982, this was in 1970. In 1982, the first advisory group was sort of put together. It was not really very formal, but it included master gardeners, composters, rare fruit growers, and public citizens. And they were asked by the city to try to organize teaching classes and events and different things to see that Emma's wishes were being observed. In around 1990, my dates might be off a year or so, but around 1990, the advisory group incorporated as a 501c3 foundation in order to accept monetary gifts from the public or anybody else who wanted to give gifts, all in support of the um, park. And they put on activities ever since. There were 23 straight years where they did, um, what do they call it? Well, it was in October, and they were Harvest Festival activities, and the they were totally paid for by the foundation. The city helped in providing the cleanup and the removal of waste products and all that stuff from all the people that were there. But foundation had to pretty much come up with the cost of everything. They also gave classes in gardening and nutrition and art in the garden, different things like this. And we also had large and small animal field days for the 4-H kids. And all of these things were funded by uh, the foundation. Um, we also built a plant science center that was used for education and learning about agriculture and all. And that was done totally with our own money. And then it was donated to the park. Then in around 2007, the foundation was asked to develop Emma's Kitchen Garden, which was designed and built and maintained by the foundation. And the foundation continued through the years to watch over the park. One of the things they were asked in the beginning, and I think in their original agreement, was that they would watch over the park to make sure that everything was going according to Emma's wishes. In 2007, after they developed the Emma's garden or kitchen garden, they continued to watch over things. And whenever there were any concerns, they were brought to the park staff. They many times were acted as arbitrators between different groups like 4-H when there was a problem, and they would bring the problem to the management of the park. But and they would try to hash out some kind of an agreement. The decisions were always the final word of the park. The foundation had nothing to do with the final decision. And so things went for pretty well for many years. And then in 2012, the agreement with the city was ended, and then they tried to get a new agreement and worked for many years back and forth. And then we finally got an agreement. The agreement was totally one-sided, and legal advice said, don't sign anything like this. And it went back to the city, and they removed several items. One was that they wanted the foundation to pay the city $25,000 a year for the privilege of volunteering. And that seemed a little much. So that was one of the several that was eliminated. And then in, I believe, April of this year, we said we would sign their revised MOU, and we were given an email from them, from Dominique, and she thanked us for getting it in and said it was going to the legal department and that we would hear in the near future. And the near future went from April until now, when we were pretty much told to get out of the park. And I think the reasons being that we were asking for, where is the money? Is it really going into the account that Emma wanted it to go in? And why wasn't some of the money being used for the park, when even when we asked to have things put in for safety purposes, fire hydrants and things like that? So that's where we are, I guess, right now. So the foundation has really been a part of uh, the park since it was opened, and we would like to not have to leave on the 18th. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say about that.
Jennifer, did you want to add or?
Yeah, because I think everything Bob said is very accurate. And, a lot of it does feel like, us asking about the money was an issue. But, also throughout the last few years, we've brought up the hiring process for management, who they've hired to take care of the farm animals because they're dying at a record rate. The removal of all of the birds on the property, including they're going to plan on removing the peacocks, the environmental impact of spraying Roundup and draining the pond, and some of the liability risks, no fire hydrant on site. So these are things that we kind of bring up and don't get a positive response. They take it as an attack versus us trying to make sure that the park remains a good experience for our community. And
because we're there a lot, we see some of the issues that the Parks Department and even the people running the park aren't out in the park and
don't have the experience either.
Yeah, and we're talking to the visitors and we're relaying their complaints or concerns, and it's taken like we're attacking them personally. And one of the issues we have is that when we bring things up, every time we talk to them, we get a different answer. And we have been just absolutely lied to at times. So when we challenge them on things, they don't like it, but it's mostly about this gas station money, the rental money. And our issue is not that we're trying to prove they've done something wrong. We want them to prove with documentation that it's all going where it's supposed to go, and it's coming in the way it's supposed to be coming in, and it's spent only on capital improvements. And some of our concerns and questions have been raised by the accounting that we've been given by the city. Everything we're bringing bringing up, we have documented, and it's the city that is, we're using their words and their papers. And we met with Cicerelli last night at the Parks Commission, and he says, I don't know where you're getting this information. Somebody's just making it up. We're getting it from city documents that they have provided to us very reluctantly. And about our agreement too, we have an email from Dominique dated March 5th that says the city is happy with the agreement. There's a few minor edits for clarity, but we're good to go. We responded, we're good to go. We're ready to sign. So they're accusing us of being uncooperative and refusing to negotiate. And we negotiated in good faith. So that's what I want to say. My name is Pamela Venzi, by the way. I am a longtime District 5 resident. I've lived right off of Story Road since 1977. So I'm part of this area very much.
All right, thank you for taking the time to share. And then I think now, Andrea?
Emma,
Who's this?
Andrea, she's still with the
Andrea.
city.
Yeah, hang tight, Bob.
I just
Judy?
wondered, oh, I'm sorry. I just wondered if I could say anything else, or I can wait till later if that's possible.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, one of the things I wanted to mention was that the people who have come into the park and are making a lot of, I would say, changes, probably had no idea that we have wild animals living on the park that have been there for years. And these wild animals and the animals that are all there loose, including the chickens and all, have created an ecosystem that was in balance. And these animals are foxes, raccoons, possums, feral cats. And these animals are predators, and the people didn't know they were there for the most part because they're never out during the daytime. They're only out at night. And so they were keeping down the populations of rodents, the different squirrels and mice and rats. And when they drained the ponds, they removed the source of water for these animals. And the ducks and the geese either died or left. Many that flew in all the time had no place to get water. And then we started finding dead animals. The predators started dying. And when the predators started dying, this caused all the other kinds of problems, such as increases in rats and mice, more insects because the chickens were being removed. The insects eat seeds from weeds. They eat the little tiny shoots that come up when the weeds germinate, when the seeds germinate. And so they've basically ruined the entire natural ecosystem of the park. And it seems like what they would like to do is have all the animals in cages like a zoo. And Emma's wish was to be a farm-like atmosphere. And so we have Happy Hollow for a zoo. We don't need another zoo next door. We need a farm park so that the people in the city can see their heritage. So that's all I wanted to kind of point out.
All right, thank you.
Good evening. I'm Andrea Flores Shelton, and I work for the City of San Jose Parks Recreation Neighborhood Services. I'm the Assistant Director. I was there last night at the Parks and Recreation Commission. John Cicerelli can't be here this evening. But Juan, I'll just start off by, making our statement and then happy to answer any specific questions. But what we're really thrilled about is we, through this kind of issue and this confusion that has spread into the community, is that we have seen how many people love Emma Prusch Farm Park as much as we do. And we want to make sure everybody knows it is open and operating and has been vibrant for as many years. And thank you, Bob, for walking through the rich history there in East San Jose at the corner of Story and King. And it is as vibrant as it was then as it is today.
I'm not sure, but your audio and video are cutting out on my end. Oh, there you go. We lost you after the vibrant portion.
Okay, how am I?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, I'm sorry. I may be a little glitchy. Sorry about that.
No problem.
So yeah, I was just saying appreciative of the rich history that he walked through, and just for context for folks that may not be familiar with Emma Prusch Farm Park, it's a 40 plus acre park, and we have partners. We have partners like Veggielution that occupy and really does the classes and events and maintains a farm that are in line with the mission on about 10 acres of the park. And then Emma's Kitchen Garden that the foundation is very involved in is about 1% of those 40 acres. So there's a lot going on at Emma Prusch Park. And again, we value all of our partners there at the park. And yes, we haven't had an agreement for a decade. And we were seeking to bring all the partners together and work out different agreements, because when we have groups on city lands, we need to have agreements. And so we worked very hard, brought in the City Parks Alliance, that's a third party negotiator. And while we were able to reach an agreement with Veggielution, we weren't able to reach an agreement with the foundation. And the foundation folks went into details about that, which, I think in many ways, this has been an example of when we can agree to disagree, and I think it was said really well at the meeting, right? The city, we are a big bureaucracy, and while the foundation and groups like Veggielution are a much flatter community-based or grassroots organization, we have a lot of hoops to go through. So unfortunately, we did not come to an agreement, and there is no agreement, and there hasn't been an agreement with the foundation for a decade, and there isn't now. We do require agreements with folks. And as John Cistrelli mentioned last night, when we're providing, we love volunteers. We strive for volunteers, and we will continue and hope that the Emma Prusch Foundation folks, Jennifer, Bob, many others, continue to be welcome through our volunteer program. But without an agreement, there are limitations. So there's no access to keys, there's no exclusive use. It needs to be a truly public.
Your connection is not working right now.
Admins last night, and I'm very happy that city budget documents are not the easiest things to read. And so we provided the source of funds that come in from both the gas station as well as earned interest, and then showed how that is being used. We will be providing a easier to read format that will show a 10-year outlay, that will show revenues and expenses, and it will show the projects, right? So we have been investing those gas station lease monies as well as earned interest. We've been doing projects such as we invested in the multicultural building. If you think of the barn, we've improved the barn. We've had to do concrete
Andrea, you may want to turn off video.
where
It was cutting out.
am I back again?
Yes, you are back.
Okay, I'm sorry. Has that happened a lot or just twice?
Just once or twice, the first time briefly, and this last time, maybe the last 30 seconds.
Okay. Okay, so I'll do that. So we are providing in the next 2 days or so, again, an easier to read format that will show revenues, expenses over 10 years, where that we've invested those projects. And I think the thing that the community has been visibly able to see is the new all-inclusive playground with Chiquita, our new slide. And so you will be able to see how we don't do zero-based budgeting. We don't zero out everything that comes in every year. The funds roll over and you will see the ending fund balance so that everyone can understand that we are transparent and where all the funds are coming from. So again, we have provided public documents, and then we're providing an updated, again, 10-year revenue and expense in the next day or two. And I'm just really excited about the future. Again, I think many of the concerns that whether it's Bob's concerns or um, uh, I'm sorry, Pam, is it Pamela? Pam's concerns, right? Those will be able to be addressed through our new advisory council. Bob talked about an advisory council many years ago, but we want to bring all the voices together and have a conversation with all of our partners, and we will have an advisory committee that we'll be launching shortly. And again, we are very committed to the legacy of Emma Prusch. I think we all see ourselves as guardians and stewards, as public servants. That is very much what we put forward. And so any claims of improprieties we take very, very seriously. And we will be, wanting to be very upfront and let you know that we love our parks. We live in the community too. And we want to be as transparent as possible about how we invest and how we care for the land and for the animals. So I'll leave it at that and happy to answer any questions.
All
I
right.
I do have another question. If I was wondering, we have at the park a lot of student groups that come in by bus from elementary schools. And it's my understanding that each student pays a fee for the going through the park. And I didn't see anywhere where that money was put into Emma Prusch's 131 account. And so I was wondering what happens to that money because in her grant deed, it says all money derived from any activities of the park should go into that account.
There are no admission fees to Emma Prusch Park.
No? Oh,
But you're charging for I can't do that. So.
No, it's unmuted.
Oh, okay, but you're charging the schools for the tours. They get lunch,
I'll
they
have
get
to
a
get
tour.
back to you. I'm not sure if this is I'll have to get back to you, but Emma Prusch Park does not have an admission. In terms
no,
of
we know that
We
it's
know that, yeah. It's
Okay.
for the tours, it's for the school children. We've been told by workers from the park, it's $12 a child that you charge the schools. So that's
Yeah, so I
what we've
would
been
say
told.
the advisory group, or if we were to get, if you want to send these type of, you've been told if someone could give us, again, more explicit detail, but I can get back to you at this time. I think there's been a lot of misinformation, a lot of,
Probably, yeah. I
yeah,
know there
and
has been from our side. I mean, that you're misinterpreting a lot of what we're doing. I know that. And I don't think I'm not leaving us as innocent on that. Okay. I say
Jennifer and
we.
Pam, thank you for voicing additional concerns. And I think what I heard is that Andrea will be getting back to you on
I
that.
agree. That's
If you
fine.
don't already have her email address, I definitely can provide
Yeah.
it so that we can get follow up on that.
I'm sure we do.
Bob, Jennifer, and Pam, did you have additional questions? Right, there is one question
I
from an
do.
attendee.
I just wonder when again we're being told we don't have an agreement with the city. We were unable to reach one when we have email saying we have reached one and it's ready to sign. And in fact, I was even told today that we've found one from July from Dominique saying we're good to go. It's, I'll be sending this to you any day. So we've been left in the dark. We've been left hanging. We're very patient with this, but we were told specifically that we had an agreement and it was just a matter of signing it. And now we're getting blamed for being uncooperative and refusing to negotiate. But we did that and we did it successfully. According to Dominique, legal was happy, the city was happy, we were ready to go. So where this all then disappeared to is very frustrating for us because we were acting in very good faith. We trusted the city, and there's been some very underhanded behavior towards us that we don't understand because we do so much good in that garden. We contact and have interaction with so many people from the area. We provide food for people for free. And we work in the neighborhood. Jennifer and I have a program at Hillview Library where we're landscaping and we're giving away starts. And then we get told we're not doing enough, we're not doing anything, and we don't have an agreement, and it's our fault. And that's where the real problem lies, is that we're not being dealt with honestly or straightforward. And that's where our frustration comes in. And then we get kicked out with 30 days notice after 46 years. It's a little bit disheartening. It's quite disheartening, in fact.
Yeah, so that we need to see, and we're not going to negotiate in public, and we don't want to, I think there were details that we expect, especially with foundations, right? So we have Parks Foundation entity, we've got relationships with let's say Guadalupe River Park Conservancy, right? So there are expectations for foundations that we expect. And so again, I don't want to negotiate in public and or share, share any details that, may be untoward, because we really do want to try to maintain a positive relationship. So again, there are certain expectations that we have before we enter into an agreement. And, I'll just say, again, we are a big organization, and if we left you, we ended up changing, but at the end of the day, we think that the volunteerism and the work that's happening, the relationship will just change, and that there's still, you're still welcome. It's just going to be a different relationship.
Okay, we'll go ahead and go to audience questions now. And there's a question from Marco Velasco, who I attempted to promote to panelists to share audio and video. I don't know if that was unsuccessful or you declined, but his question is, what is the key issues with the Emma Prusch Park Foundation's agreement? Is that something you can answer, or?
Yeah, so again, we're trying to maintain some positivity here, and we do expect there to be strong governance from any, board that we're going into an agreement with. So we expect certain governance practices, we expect certain communication norms. We do expect there to be a contribution. Foundations are meant to be contributors, not just in time, but also in from financial aspects. So there are certain expectations that we need when we go into an agreement with a partner that is going to be having exclusive use of public lands.
All right, and next we have Patricia Mendoza. Patricia, are you there? I'll go ahead and ask your questions and make your comments. So Patricia indicates $13 a child for a Halloween pumpkin patch event. I assume she means that there was an event where families paid $13 a child. And then she says the flyers for these Halloween tours were posted online, and at the park, there were multiple tours a day for all the weeks in October.
Okay, so events and program activities that have a yeah, so that's different. I'm sorry. I was being told that there was like school tours. So when we have events that go above and beyond sort of passive admission to the park, we do have like we do at community centers for like maybe let's say an Easter egg hunt. But when we do put on programming, we do um, we do have a nominal charge to that. So that is something that is a practice throughout PRNS facilities, from community centers to any place that we like camps, right? We also have the hatchery there, school for young folks, right? Those all do have a cost, and those are not related to the trust fund. That is a fee activity model that we use.
All right, and Michael, you're now here. If you'd like to share audio and video, go ahead.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. First, I want to thank the panelists, the city, and Juan for hosting this meeting and giving information to the public. I guess my question is towards Andrea. So what has changed? I think my understanding is that like they had an agreement like earlier this year and then now they're getting evicted. So what were like the newer reasons?
So there hasn't been an agreement for 10 years. And so the negotiations that were attempted some years ago, a few years ago, with the City Parks Alliance as a third party negotiator, that did result in a favorable contract with another partner and provider at Emma Prusch, again, Veggielution. It didn't result in one with Emma Prusch Farm Park. And I just kind of stated that while we don't want to get into the fine detail of the term sheet, we do have certain expectations for exclusive use of public lands. So it didn't change. It's just we haven't had an agreement for 10 years. We were looking to get into an agreement, and we're not able to. I've heard it was one-sided. I do think, again, as we are the stewards of public lands, we do expect that certain terms need to be met.
Okay, I do have one follow-up question. You mentioned getting like a new advisory board. So how does like what are like I guess your like guardrails or like your like how does the city decide who is the appropriate advisory board for Emma Push Park? Is kind of my question.
Who would be on the advisory board?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Like on the new
we
one.
don't. Yeah, I don't think we have.
What are like the guiding principles? Like what is like is Emma Push like is her vision part of like the guiding principle for the new advisory board? Like
It
how is
abs-
this new board going to be decided?
Yeah, it absolutely would be. I believe I don't have a timeline for when we're going to roll out sort of the advisory group membership, but I do believe we're trying to prioritize that for the new year.
So then I guess the eviction is now and then no advisory board after until there's one established.
So I wouldn't agree with the phrase eviction. What we're saying is that uh, through our volunteer program, all of these folks can still be a part of Emma's Kitchen Garden, can still be eyes and ears at Emma Prusch Farm Park. And what it really does is it just changes the dynamics of having keys to the parks and having exclusive use to the space.
Okay, I appreciate that. My one last comment is that like we have heard that like they have told like the city parks people that come that the foundation or the this group has given them like oh like the animals are dying or this and that like they had their own complaints and we have seen now that there's some type of like eviction or like they're getting booted out. So yeah, they have eyes and ears, but at what consequences will they face? So that's my only comment left.
All right, and then Vanessa Rivera declined to share audio and video. I'll read what she wrote, which is the breakdown at the Parks Recreation meeting shows close to nothing in terms of details of the specific ways in which the money is spent. Which again leads me as a resident of San Jose who's seen the wastelands that the parks have become due to the continued lack of accountability for the park funds received from taxpayer dollars. So comment, did you want to address it or?
No, because we stand by our documentation.
All right, and then an anonymous attendee states, I do not understand why the city is not stating that they have the agreement that was agreed to. Did they lose it, negate it, and not tell the foundation? Or, and I think what they are saying is that if there's an agreement that the foundation believes was under discussion or negotiation, what did something happen? Or was in result that what was the next step?
So the question is, what was the next step?
No, I added that part.
Okay.
The question was, did they lose it, negate it, and not tell the foundation, or, and then they left that blank.
Yeah,
You-
so
Go ahead.
yeah, I would just say, again, I think at the level of staff that the Prusch Foundation was working with, sh- Dominique, who we have great faith in, right? There were certain terms and conditions that I think Dominique was trying to move it along, and yet we are a bureaucracy and we have more eyes on the agreement. So we don't have an agreement. We had a negotiation, and the negotiation at the end of the day didn't result in a signed, executed agreement.
All right, and the next question is from Aurelia. It's a comment. I hope the foundation can stay as a volunteer group if no agreement can be reached. I would like to know who will be on this advisory group and will there be people working at the park now? It takes lots of money to run this park and 130,000 is not much, so I hope everyone can focus on staying and continue the farm-like work. Seems like if they are there all the time, they know what is needed. I think you addressed some of this. Did you want to address it further?
Yeah, I just want folks to know that we still have a general fund that supports that pays for the staff and it pays for a whole host of other supplies and materials that are invested into Emma Prusch. This particular fund is based out of the lease revenue that comes from the gas station. So that is one source of funds that is dedicated to reinvestment at Emma Prusch Park. And then we have a general fund that also contributes to Emma Prusch Park.
Vanessa Rivera added a couple more questions. I'll read them together. When exactly can we expect a timeline to be set in place? When can we expect a full breakdown of the details pertaining to the budget for the park?
Yes, I think well, gosh, tomorrow's Friday, right? So I believe we're going to release the updated, easier to read format that has the sort of that 2-page document in one table so that people can see the revenue and then the expense based on project for the trust fund. I believe that should be released tomorrow.
All right, and so this is my question. So the area that the foundation was taking care of, will city staff be continuing that work in the future?
Yes, as well as volunteers. Volunteers are welcome to, again, will be a shared space. But we know that there's vegetables and different things that the foundation has been dedicated to, and they are can continue to do that through a volunteer format.
All right, everyone, I think those were all the questions. Let me just double check. Yeah, those are all the questions. Norma, I will promote you to panelist. I know you've raised your hand just a few times. Yours will be the final question. If you're unable to be a panelist, I'm sorry, but you'll need to post your question or comment in the Q&A. And it says Norma will be rejoining as a panelist. And Norma, when you're there, please turn on your audio and video. I see you now.
Okay, yes. My name is Norma Zuniga. I grew up in the East Side, and I just have a quick question. I received a survey from the city regarding, more taxes to support our parks. And it seems like, you know, the review of that survey was basically proposing to either sell off parts of the parks that were in the city to either developers to make more affordable housing. So I get the feeling that the city is positioning our open space parks for developers. It seems like they wanted to do tiny housing in Emma Birch at one point when there was a problem with the unhoused. People protested because they said that park was strictly a donated, public um, property. And here the city had different ideas to actually put tiny homes in Emma Birch Park, which to me it seems um, that the city is just trying to figure out how to bring in more revenue, it seems like it. But at the same time, they're willing to cut, funding for other existing um, community services that we have here at Irma Birch. And it seems like they have the circuses. Does not that, generate revenue for the park?
Norma,
Hello?
thank you for bringing that up. So in no way will Emma Prusch Farm Park be used for housing. No. We
Well,
are
it seemed like the city was willing to do it and they were going to go through it, except we protested. They were already lined up to do tiny homes in that area. And I went to a meeting and we were definitely against that because that is public donated property. So it seems like the city wants to use open space parks that are there for the public's use for other purposes.
right.
Uh,
So I'm trying to answer your question. So let me just finish
Yeah.
by saying the city as a whole, as you know, we have a homelessness crisis and we are looking for areas for emergency interim housing, for housing solutions, right? We are not. So, and I believe this might have been a few years ago when different elected officials or a different point in time, but I can tell you right now, and I'm very involved in through the Beautify SJ work that Parks Recreation Neighborhood Services is doing and our ending homelessness strategy. And we are sorts of places, but not Emma Prusch Park. I will just say that that is off, that is not on any list. It is, and there are chartered lands throughout the city where they are chartered as parkland, and that protects them from development. It protects them from permanent development. And while we are pressure, well, public lands are being looked at for these temporary emergency shelters. That is, Emma Prusch Farm Park is not anywhere on any list, and it is not being spoken about or being thought of for any of those type of solutions. So maybe in the past it was being considered, but it is not being considered now or for the future.
Norma, Michael, and everyone who posed questions, thank you for your questions. I'm sorry, but we could probably go for a lot longer if we allowed unlimited questions, but that would be the final question. I think We've addressed all the concerns about Emma Prusch and this current topic. And I want to thank everyone for joining tonight, and I hope you all have a great night.